Well,
All right.
welcome to week 2.
Well, this is week 2 or episode 2.
Episode 2. we
Episode
should
2.
say.
I've been sick.
You have.
My wife has been sick.
How you feeling, by the way?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Jason, you said that you had a game today, so
Yes.
let's go ahead and play this game.
Yes. Okay. So, thank you for joining us for week 2. Hopefully you enjoyed our first episode, got some great feedback, and, we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think we did pretty well, but we can always improve. And so for everyone out there that's joining us, welcome back. Y'all get to be our bays, the day 1.
Our bays?
Well, what wasn't?
No. I'm sorry. I'm
I
lost
think
on bays because I'm like, our bays. Oh my gosh.
No, I was trying to think like day 1 is what I was trying to say, and for
Guinea
whatever
pigs.
reason,
Guinea pigs is the term you're looking for.
there you go. But y'all came back for another round, so I want to thank you for that. Again, great feedback, great shout out from Geek Devotions.
Yep.
And so make sure you're following them as well. But we're here and we're gonna do another episode. And so last time, Steven here kind of bombarded me, unbeknownst to me, with a game that I did terrible at. I'm not going to be that mean, but what I am going to do, and this is all going to flow into what we are talking about.
Okay.
So it's still January, and our theme for today is about being consistent. All right, and continuing on. And because it's January, people, of course, have a bunch of resolutions. So most of these resolutions have by now been broken. But I'm going to make this easy for you. According to Forbes, and this is 2024,
Okay.
what are the top, let's go with the top 10 New Year's resolutions?
Lose weight.
Okay, that's one.
Be a better spouse.
Better spouse. Okay, spend more time with family.
Yep. I got 6 more.
You got 8 more.
Oh, 8 more. More money.
Save money is 1. You're 3 for 3.
Healthy lifestyle.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, geez. What are... All right, so we do have chat. Can I ask chat to help me out?
Well, I didn't get to ask chat.
Okay.
They're fairly easy.
Okay. Just because I like one of the chat responses, stop giving money to Disney. Is that something?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, but no.
Don't feed the machine.
Don't forget the machine.
Even though we all do.
I lost what I was thinking about.
You've gotten 4 so far.
Okay, I've gone 4. Okay. Okay, I've said more money.
Mm-hmm. Save money is 1.
I've lose weight.
Lose weight.
Eat healthy.
Eat healthy is 3.
Go to the gym.
Okay, yeah. Improve physical fitness. Well, fitness, but yeah.
Oh, read your Bible.
Well, that would be a good one.
Okay, but it's not there.
It's not on there. Of course, this is Forbes. Forbes isn't Christian, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Cook more at home.
That could be a good one.
I give up. I don't know.
Okay. Well, according to Forbes, this is what they are. You ready?
All right, go ahead.
Improve fitness.
Okay.
Improve finances.
I said both of those.
Improve mental health.
Didn't I say that? No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't.
Lose weight.
I did say that.
Diet.
I did say that.
Make more time for loved ones.
I did say
You
that.
did say that. Stop smoking. But for those that look good, you can't really stop looking smoking hot.
Hey, that's this moment. Hold on, wait for it.
Beautiful.
Right?
All right. Learn a new skill.
Yeah.
Make more time for hobbies.
Yep.
Travel more.
Travel more.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I want to learn how to play the violin. Like that's something on my list to do.
I think you should.
I probably help with my mental health too, but violins cost money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of money,
yes.
Not to pressure anybody into anything, but we will soon be launching a Patreon. If anybody would like to, or a Coro or whatever it's called, to support the podcast. Also, I have great news regarding the podcast stuff. We are now on Spotify. We are on YouTube now. We're streaming on Twitch right now. And we're also streaming on Kick and YouTube. So, guys, make sure you hit those likes and subscribes to any of our socials. We'd appreciate it. And also follow us on TikTok and Twitter. Now that the purposeful stuff is out of the way, let's move on, shall we? So last week, just a little recap. We covered last week new beginnings, new changes, and that was a pretty good conversation last week. We had one of our friends called Geek Devotions actually make a comment, and his comment was something along the lines of be careful who you cut out of your life, because sometimes those people are just trying to help you. And I agree with that. I completely agree with that. You made a comment, something similar, where that it's important to
be open.
Yeah, be open to those people.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. That's a real thing.
It is.
While we're kind of just chilling here and doing our little intro here, let's go ahead and...
Okay, that would be good.
Okay, somebody put in my notes somewhere to add Church Oregon. Because I keep forgetting to do that. Okay, so...
Let's jump in. Let's dive in.
ADHD. Let's go. So we're talking about episode 1, season 2 of Arrow.
Correct.
Basically, the short recap is we find, spoiler if you haven't ever seen the show, huge spoiler. We find out that Malcolm Merlyn is the Black Hood and the key person that wants to destroy, Star City. But he's also part of the League of Assassins run by Ra's al Ghul.
Yep.
Little thing about Ra's al Ghul is that basically he's an immortal, that his mind is so warped it's not even funny. Yep.
He just wants to see the world burn.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Okay, so here's some of the things we're going to be talking about. So in the beginning of season 2, we find that Oliver Queen is on Lian Yu, right?
He's back on Lian Yu.
And one of the things we see there is that, much like a lot of people, is he's trying to escape his past, where he's trying to escape what he's called to be.
Yep.
And this episode is all about what's the word?
Well, it's about running away. It's like redemption, but to be honest, in season 1, it gets hard, and especially with the way that the season ended, because Oliver found out his mother, spoiler alert, his mother was a part of it. Right. She accepted responsibility. Merlin ran.
Right.
And so he essentially, he knows he is to be the Hood, but he runs away from it. He runs away from the responsibility, and he winds up back at Lian Yu, and his friends go and find him. They figure out, hey, maybe he's back on Lian Yu, so they go to bring him back to Star City.
Right.
He tried to leave it behind, but the truth is, this is his calling, and you really can't run away from your calling. I mean, you can, but if you're not operating in your calling, no matter what you do, you're never going to truly be happy.
Right. What I was going to say is, like, this podcast specifically is talking about not redemption, but like keeping up with those changes. Jason is such a good co-host, because the way, I'm not gonna lie, the way I've been feeling like these past 2 weeks, both physically and mentally, like I'd probably just be like, all right, I'm done. But he's like, no, let's get on the horse. So he's an awesome friend like that. Even my wife is very much like that. She wants me to keep doing what I'm doing when it comes to ministry.
Because you do a great job.
Yeah, I do an okay job. But any case, focusing my ADHD. My ADHD is like all over the place today. Have you noticed?
It doesn't help that I can tend to be the same way.
Yeah,
So at least we have our notes in front of us. So if we're ever like right. Squirrel, we can come back.
Yeah, today's just gonna be it's gonna be kind of squirrely. But it's about keeping up with those resolutions. Like when we see Oliver Queen, we very much have him like he's forgotten his mission. He's lost his purpose because everything he was fighting for was totally lost, like totally gone. And he tries to leave that hood behind. But the one thing I'll notice is like John Dingle, whatever, Dingleberg, was a good friend. Like he did it in a completely wrong way, and he basically convinced Ollie or Oliver Queen to go in and go, I need you to come back to protect your family's inheritance. But he didn't tell him that people were pretending to be him. He didn't tell him like all this other stuff that was going on. So there's like a lot of stuff that was going on that John Dingle didn't tell him, and Oliver point blank goes, I don't like being played.
Yeah.
You know, Oliver Queen had to go back. He had to take up his hood once again, except this time he wanted to be called something different than the Hood. So he was called, what was he called?
The Arrow.
Are you trying to do like an ASMR thing like this? Like, the Arrow.
Maybe.
Okay, so our entire podcast is going to be talking like this today. Very softly and creepily. Is that okay with everybody?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, good, because I don't want to do that. So, sorry. You know, I did want to talk about revisiting the past though with Lian Yu, because that's the very first thing in there. You know, when there's trauma and when things happen that stops you from changing, sometimes you have to go back to face the past in order for you to move forward.
Exactly.
With people with severe trauma, this is supposed to help, but only if it's done the right way. Sometimes people can't do it at all, and they just have to move on from there. Because I know we're talking about the being consistent with the change and the process, but sometimes you have to step back and go, hold up for a second. Let me retrace my steps and look at the past, so that way I can move forward and I can change.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Sometimes revisiting the past is extremely painful.
Yeah.
And I know that it's something that most of us, we just want to avoid. I don't want to go back and relive that relationship that we once had. I don't want to go back and revisit that season in my life, that time in my life, because it brings about so much pain. But in that pain is where we get the healing. I'm not saying that if your past is just so painful that you can't function. I'm not saying like you have to just like that's the answer to everything. Like, oh, just go back, revisit the past, and you'll be okay. It's going to take time. But I think if you do it in a healthy way, and if you especially have those people in your life that will hold your hand or will walk through the past with you through the time of reflection, then you've got a good thing. You've got a really good thing if you can have those people. We talked last time about making those changes, and those people that are willing to walk with you, and those are also the ones that are going to keep you accountable and help you to continue in that. And if that means calling someone up and saying, hey, I was thinking about my past, I was thinking about the season that I went through, and I just need someone to talk to because this is how I'm feeling, man, that's a good thing. Because those true friends are going to keep you accountable. They're the ones that are going to keep you going as you process what has been going on.
Yeah, and like I'll say this, like about 4 years ago, my dad died, and you were one of those people that kind of helped me along in that, and a couple other people were some people from God Squad Church. And by the way, if you don't know who God Squad Church is, it's a fabulous organization. It's an online Christian organization full of nothing but Christian gamers. Go check them out. They have services every week. That's where I go to church on Saturdays. But yeah, those people are going to hold you accountable and not going to judge you. And it's like one of those things, like it's like the coolest thing in the world is to have those friends. Those friends are so a lot of people are like, oh, that's my best friend. Well, that's not your best friend. There's different levels of friendship there. There's you have an acquaintances, then you have your friends, and then you have something called confidants. And those confidants are the people like that will hold you accountable, that will help you endure that change, just like we saw with Oliver Queen, John Dingle, and Felicity, aka the Oracle, to kind of help you along and change. Like a support system is like needed for those changes, or it's going to be very hard to do it by yourself. You have in your notes, true friends will keep you accountable, which is great because that's what we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
The very much of keeping those friendships that hold you accountable.
And I want to add it's good to have those friends to keep you accountable, but you also want to make sure that you are that friend to someone else.
Yeah.
You never want to be the one to receive from everyone but never give.
Right.
You don't want to be what we call a life sucker, where you constantly receive from other people. You want them to hold you accountable, but then when they call upon you, hey, can you keep me accountable? Oh, I can't, I'm too busy, or I got this or that going on. So a lot of times the season we're in, there's someone else who has either gone through that season or they're going to go through that season. And many times the crazy thing is those seasons will overlap.
Ebb and flow.
Yeah, they'll overlap. And so you might be towards the end of one and this person is beginning theirs.
Yep.
So make sure that you do the same thing for them.
Yep. I need to correct myself, by the way. It wasn't Oracle, it was Watchtower.
Yeah.
Felicity is Watchtower, not Oracle. So, my bad. And, you know, again, going back to Dallas's comment, is like, it's important to have that full scope of friendships, but you also got to know that some people are going to try to hold you back or try to pull you back to how you used to be. Like, I was watching a stand-up comic short earlier this week, and I thought it was hilarious because he said that one of the very first things they do in rehab was that they stop all communications with past drug dealers, with bad influences, everything like that. And one of this guy's friends, he said, hey, I'm no longer going to be talking to you. I'm no longer going to be conversing with you because you sold me drugs. I'm sober now. I'm not going to do that. But what was cool is the guy texts back and he goes, hey, the only reason I bought drugs was to sell them to you because I was worried about you buying them on the street. And I thought about that, and I'm like, okay. Then the comment goes, what a nice guy. And I'm the one breaking up with him. And I'm just like, that's not a true friend, but it makes a good bromance moment.
It does.
Yeah, so like, sometimes those people need to be stopped that are influencing your life the wrong way. Other times, people need to go in and go, hey, you're a great friend, but I need to stop seeing you because XYZ.
Yeah.
Or there's times like we've been talking about where there's friends that hold you accountable. Like, hey, you're a great friend, and thank you for holding me accountable, but hey, look, this is what you got going on in your life. Let's talk about that. Which means a scripture verse to my head. You know, sometimes you got to take the log out of your own eye before you can help someone with theirs.
Yeah. You got to do that.
That's a real thing when it comes to friendships and holding each other accountable. We're kind of all over the place in this conversation.
We really are.
But like, it's cool though, because like it's all leading back to the same thing though. It's like, because we're talking about changes and then, you know, it's like when you change, there's always going to be challenges. Whether that's from your past, whether that's from your present, or whether that's from your future. There's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be something to have those issues. Okay, perfect example. When I was trying to learn the violin, when I first started learning the violin, I'm still terrible at it. One of my biggest struggles was, guess what?
What?
time and consistency. When you do something, like, you have to be consistent. You have to learn how to do something, and if you like, and you have to be consistent in it. Like this podcast of ours, we're being consistent. Like that's super important, is being consistent. Like, we're trying to have it like once a week to have a podcast, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. Just depending on how much we can get done. But right now it's just once a week. Now,
consistency.
Consistency. Here's the question I have for you, okay? When we're dealing with change and being consistent, sometimes there's going to be old wounds that come up.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that more?
Well, I mean, it goes going back just a little bit. Yeah, there's when we face our past, and when I say our past, it's not just us and what we've done. Sometimes it is going back and looking at other people, how they've treated us or whatever, and it can stir up some emotions that maybe we thought we had gotten past, and it turns out it's not a matter of getting past it. It's just a matter of we kind of repressed it a little, and it's still there, but it hasn't fully gone away. And I'm actually working on a blog where I'm actually talking about that, because I actually had that happen to me the other day, where just in a normal conversation, some emotions got stirred up. I went to see Toby Mac. My wife and I went to Beaumont, about an hour and a half away, and God just kind of revealed some things, and I realized there were some things in my life that I thought things were fine, and it turns out not so much. But God kind of spoke to me in that moment and said, it's okay to not just get past things so quickly. It's okay to continue to deal with stuff. And so, yeah, there's sometimes change does need to be made, and people are going to draw us back. Those old wounds are going to resurface. But some of those wounds, it's only going to take time. Like, plain and simple. There are battles that we thought we had won, and it turns out we have to revisit those battles. I mean, there's, how many movies have it where you have the protagonist who defeats the main villain, and you think they're dead, and then how does the movie end? It's the camera pans down to the villain whose eyes are closed, and you're like, okay, they're dead. And then all of a sudden, at the last second, before it fades to black, before it does a quick transition to black, the villain opens their eyes real quick, and then it goes to black. And you have to face those battles again. And some of them, you're going to have to face them again and again and again. And yeah, we're talking about being consistent. Honestly, being consistency is going to be a daily thing.
Right.
Not always, but it's going to be a daily thing for the most part. Because you're going to have to wake up and you're going to say, okay, I know who I am now. For me to continue this way, I'm going to have to make this conscious choice to live my life the way I have been living and not to fall back. And if that means facing this battle again, all right, that's what we'll do. If that's what it takes, so be it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like, here, the sad thing is like, when you're dealing with change and you're dealing with that, like, those old wounds are sometimes they're gonna get cut open, sometimes they're gonna hurt, and sometimes that's like when God can actually heal you.
Yeah.
It sucks, but like that's the moment God will actually start healing you from those. You know, that kind of leads to, you know, the next point is like, you have to fight some battles that you thought were over, like you just said.
Yeah.
Like, a perfect example for this is like, you know, pornography and stuff like that. Like, sometimes in order to get past the battle, like, it will, when those scars open up, they're gonna like make you want to do that again. And like, sometimes you have to battle those old wounds and deal with those old wounds.
Yeah.
To get past the addiction. Like, I forgot like where I was reading, but like, it was a study that I read that said that one of the main contributors for guys looking at pornography, other than lust, is because they never had someone to show them how to be a real man.
That's good. Yeah.
So like, you know, because like, as I'm going to talk about how I was raised, and tell me if this is how you were raised. I'm 90% sure it was how you were raised, but I'm still saying it. Like, the way I was raised is like, men open the door for women, men take out the trash, men do all these things for women. Chivalry. But the one thing's like, we were never taught, and this is a big thing, is like, we were never taught the proper way to show women affection. We were never taught women. We've always heard it said from women that women are not objects, but for another man to show us how we are supposed to treat women and that they're not objects, I think would have definitely helped out. Not saying that our dads did a bad job at that, but I am saying that I think that it wasn't taught enough.
I got you.
Or it wasn't taught properly.
I got you. I mean, for me, mine was a little bit different in the sense that, I mean, I did see my dad, you know, show affection to my mom. I mean, there was never like PDA, but he did a really good job of, you know, showing me how important, as a man, how important it is to treat not just women, but treat your wife. Make sure that he wanted to make sure that I knew how I should treat my mother, how I should treat my future wife, how I should treat my future daughter, you know, and that's something I try to do for my daughter. You know, I don't have a son, but for my daughter, what I'm trying to do is show her so much respect that in the future, I get to be the gold standard of how guys should treat her, you know?
Yeah. And I'll say you're doing a fabulous job with that, by the way.
Well, I try.
I love my niece. She's amazing. Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of like the sad thing is, like, I think a lot of guys art showed that.
So then they need to make that change.
Right.
And they need to be held accountable.
Right.
Just like what we're talking about.
Yep.
Because there will be times that there will be that temptation to not do so.
Right.
And I mean, really, this is a conversation that we could take in so many ways.
Yeah.
For guys and for men and for women.
Yeah.
You know, there's especially in this day and age with some of the stuff that's anyone can do, anyone can access, you know, but again, that's a conversation for another day.
Okay, since we're talking about accountability, let's talk about one of the biggest things that happened 2 years ago when it comes to accountability. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Now, regardless of who you think won and who you think lost, regardless of anything about that entire situation, and I will say my personal opinion on this case. My personal opinion is that Johnny got the shaft in all of this.
Agreed.
And in my personal opinion, you know, if we're talking about, you know, because we're talking about men and women can do both things. Well, a lot of people think, well, only men can, you know, hit women and all that. No. There's cases where women have done it too. And it will take an accountability, a friend that's accountable to go in and say, hey, I think you're getting abused. It'll also take another friend to come in and say, I think what you're doing to your husband, to your wife, to your whoever is wrong and you need help. I am a huge proponent of getting help with domestic abuse. I didn't know this till after, but I didn't realize that sometimes abuse happens at your own front door and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot more common than we realize.
Yeah, it is.
But again, accountability is good.
Yes.
You know, and again, going back to what Geek Devotions had said, you know, that also comes from a place of accountability. Why are we making this change? Or why do we feel like this change is necessary? Because sometimes it is for selfish reasons, for selfish gain. And that person is holding us accountable.
Yep.
You know, we want to make sure that when someone is holding us accountable, we call it accountability and not something else like spiritual abuse. Now that's a conversation that you have to have.
Yep.
And we just need to pray for discernment and say, Lord, help me to discern, to see that if this truly is what I need to hear, because maybe that's exactly what it is. We feel like we need to make this change, or, you know, we want to be consistent and all that. We feel like we have the right intentions, but we're actually missing something, and it's going to take someone else to come in and point this out for us.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, you know, through all of this, it's going to take those real friends, those hard conversations, but they're going to help us, you know, either help us to change or help us to see we don't need the change. Like, the change is I need to change my way of thinking because I've started, I'm not saying going off the deep end, but I've started really swaying to the left or to the right, and this person's just trying to draw me in.
Right.
It takes those real friends to help us. But also, one thing that this can do when we're trying to be consistent in our change is we'll see that maybe we need to fix some relationships. Because when I went back and I was watching this particular episode of Arrow, Well, let me rephrase this. His mom, as I said, is in jail, and he realizes that his family needs him. His sister, most of all, needs him.
Right.
And so she's mad at him, and she doesn't even want to visit her mom, who's in prison, because she's just so upset and she is so lost. And he had to go and he had to fix that relationship. And in turn, she went and visited their mom, and just good came from that. They had that honest conversation. And she realized, they both actually realized, both the mom and Thea realized that they needed to fix this relationship.
Yeah, and that's the thing that struck me out is, here's the thing. There was a part in that TV show that said, I'm doing the only thing I know that will hurt her.
Yeah.
And what's the guy's name?
Roy?
Yeah, Roy said, well, think about how much it's hurting you. In AA and all these other step programs, one of the first things they tell you is you got to mend your old relationships. You're going to need to fix it. I know that when me and my mom back in 2006, 2005 had a falling out. I mean, that was a pretty bad one. I didn't talk to her for about 2 years. We had a falling out, and I never even told you this. When I went to SAGU my first semester, I literally looked at my mom and I said, I don't need a place to stay. I don't need a bed. I don't need a couch. Just give me a couple blankets and some pillows and I'll sleep on the floor.
Wow.
That's how bad our relationship actually was. That I actually looked at my mom and I said, this is all I need. Just let me put my head down on the floor with a house, everything like that. And my mom went and got a futon for me to sleep in. She got me pillows, and she got me everything else. So like, me and her's relationship now is like good, like to the point like we're really good. I love my mom. Like, you met my mom, you love her.
She's super awesome.
Yeah, she reminds me of White Medea.
Don't mess with her.
Yeah, seriously. But you're gonna need to fix those relationships if you're gonna have any change.
Yeah.
Your change and your consistency can inspire others to make changes as well. So like, when you change, it has a rabbit effect where it helps others change as well. We see it in the church a lot with people who get saved. Like, as soon as they get saved, they're like, I gotta tell everybody about Jesus. And it spreads like wildfire. And if nurtured right, it can turn into a revival. A lot of churches do a disservice to that because they don't nurture it. But I'll say this. That change can spread like a wildfire if you change it. So, like me and Jason, we've been friends for 17 years. Great bromance. But the one thing that's constant with us is that we're constantly changing. We're constantly trying to do something to further our friendship, to make it go further. This is one of those things with, like, we're doing this to spend time together. Because, like, you have to be intentional with relationships and with change. Like, to be consistent, you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. And it's important when you're actually being intentional and you're doing consistency especially when it comes to relationships, that you have it where it's meaningful and it's purposeful. So like you have to be purposeful in your relationships.
Absolutely. My thinking, something that I learned a long time ago, and I've told people this many times. There are always people, or there is always someone who's watching you. We can feel like, let's take work for example. We can feel like my job is very monotonous. There's nothing that's going to come from this. I don't get recognized for the work that I do. There's just nothing's going on. But the truth is, that's not the case. Someone is always watching. And you don't know, maybe the changes that you're making, as hard as it is, somebody's watching and they're going to be inspired, or they are inspired by how you react, by your consistency. And you have no idea. And you might never know. More than likely, you will never know who is actually watching you. But we need to live our lives as if the whole world is watching. You know, we want to be celebrities. We want to be famous.
Right.
But we don't want that pressure. Why? Because you're always going to feel like somebody is watching you, like every move. And I'm not saying we have to live in fear of that, but we are called to live a life, especially as Christians, live above reproach.
Right.
That doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. That doesn't mean we can't make mistakes. It also doesn't mean we can make mistakes, just openly. But people are watching.
Right.
And we need to make sure that when we make our changes, when we live our lives, we need to make sure that we understand people are watching. And so I'm going to make sure that I live my life above reproach, and that no matter what, it's a life that, I mean, Jesus is watching, right? We kind of joke about it, like, oh, Jesus is watching you. Well, he is.
Right.
But so are other people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have too much to add on to that, because it's true.
I want to add this. I found this, you know, tying into the Word of God. You know, it reminds me of the church in Ephesus. They were a church, and they were Christian. You know, they were followers of Jesus, but they kind of started going a little crazy. And so Paul writes this, and this is from the New Living Translation. He says, with the Lord's authority, I say this, live no longer as the Gentiles do, for they are hopelessly confused. Their minds are full of darkness. They wander far from the life God gives because they have closed their minds and hardened their hearts against him. They have no sense of shame. They live for lustful pleasure and eagerly practice every kind of impurity. And he says, but that isn't what you learned about Christ. Since you have heard about Jesus and have learned the truth that comes from him, throw off your old sinful nature and your former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. He's saying, you've heard about Jesus and you know how to live, but you're starting to backslide. You're starting to slide back into your old ways.
Right.
And he's saying, don't forget who you are. Don't forget the life that Christ has called you to.
Who you are.
Don't forget who Christ has called you to. Stick with it. It's going to be hard at times. It's going to be very easy to just revert back to your old ways. But sometimes change is needed. And when we stay consistent,
Yep.
we're going to see a very wonderful change in our lives. I'm not saying life's going to get easier,
No.
but I guarantee it's going to be better. When we have that